Cool. I'm Sitsi Bandi, CEO and co-founder of GitLab, and today we're discussing our ESG goals and what we want to achieve there.
Perfect. Amelia, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you. My name is Amelia. I'm a consultant here at Framework ESG. I'm helping GitLab with their materiality assessment as well as later on their ESG report. The purpose of today's meeting is it's an interview. We are trying to figure out what ESG topics are most important to you as a stakeholder here at GitLab. And so we have a few questions, and I see that some of these questions are referring to the handbook and so forth. And we are reviewing the handbooks as well as all other kind of external publicly disclosed information that we can find. And so we're just here to get your perspective on these questions.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's reflected in the handbook, and hopefully other executives make changes to the handbook as you interview them, as they have insights. And hopefully you'll send a few changes to the handbook as you learn more and disagree with things.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many changes to the handbook have you made so far, Stacy?
Probably, I would say a handful, 3 to 5. So not a ton, but I'm working on it.
No insights from executives as you interview them?
No, lots of good insights. Haven't made any changes yet. I think I need to look at that first link, the mitigating concerns, to see what's there. That page I did not look at before this. So,
but maybe it's good to also change the ESG page as you go along.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because
it's
really hard to like make something out of like 10 interviews. It's easier to kind of update it along the way.
Yes, the initial page is up. And yeah, now this is the last interview, so I can definitely make some updates now.
Cool.
All right. So Amelia, I think we can skip the first question at least.
Absolutely.
You know what, I would just say, actually, why don't we dive right into the actual ESG issues? I think that would make most sense.
Perfect. So that would be question 5 and 6, which we refer to. I will share my screen. It might be helpful to see. So for this question, we are looking, it's the same question, 2 sides of the same coin, basically. The first, we're looking at how GitLab could potentially impact the environment, social, and external factors in that sense. And then similarly, how do these ESG factors potentially impact GitLab's bottom line? So going back to that first question, where does GitLab have the greatest potential impact on the environment, people, and society? And we're looking at these 3 buckets: environment, social, and governance, and more specifically, the bullet points within each bucket. So from your opinion, where does GitLab?
I see question 5, and it starts at 5A. Which issues reflect most significant negative impacts? Is that the question, or?
Yes.
Because I don't see what you're presenting linked anywhere in the question links. I'm looking at assessment session 2 update.
Yeah, so the issues list that she's referring to is below on the agenda. She has a different format on the screen right here that's a little bit easier to read.
Oh, okay. Thanks. So I'll give you a 2-minute version. I hoped that, like, we were the largest all remote organization before the pandemic. A few people have said, hey, because we work remote, maybe we have a very positive environmental impact because we don't need to commute. But if I did some rule of thumbs calculations, if you kind of fly everyone into one location a year, the typical per GitLab team member would have more emissions than you'd spend on commuting in a year. So, and also there's some discussion about like heating a house versus heating an office and which one is more effective. but I think the environmental impact is tricky. I think everything should be net zero sooner rather than later, and we've invested for a couple of years in offsets, with all the knowing that offsets are less ideal than some other things. There was a question of what could be GitLab's most negative impact. What GitLab does as a company is we help, and maybe we can stop sharing. I got the list in front of me now. We help organizations get to a faster cycle time, go faster from planning something to getting the result out there. I think that's a very positive thing. It does help people have more leverage, get more effective, and do more in software. And there's a line of thinking that says, as we have more and more software, more and more in automation, income inequality will increase. You see that one person is able to do more and more, a small set of people in one organization is to do more and more. And I think in general, you see income inequality increasing. So by making people more effective, we could be contributing to that. As for the positive impacts, there's the kind of immediate positive impact of GitLab. According to the latest Forrester study, we have a return on investment of over 400% in six months. Like we help people achieve more, and our software is used for many, many great things. From to every single industry, we got customers. I think that's a great direct impact. I think our purpose is to help people increase their lifetime earnings through training, access to opportunities, and the DevOps platform. I think the DevOps platform is, well, maybe I should never say the word obvious, but that's what we promote every day. I think we can do better in training and access to opportunities. If you look at our Learn platform, we could do more there to educate people. And to there's a lot of like really well-paying jobs in technology, but it's, I think, a broader set of people. It kind of indicates if those are well-paying jobs that it's hard to reach them, and it takes a lot of effort to get there, and not everyone can kind of afford to like go to a university to get a computer science degree. Now, I'm self-taught. And I think there's a great opportunity in the kind of remote learning and getting those skills that pay well. This was more than 2 minutes, but happy to elaborate on any of it.
Thank you. When you mentioned educating people, are you talking primarily team members or customers or community? What was the people referring to?
Yeah, thanks for asking. All of it. Obviously, our first thing is priorities, make sure our team members do well and grow their careers. We also want to make it easier for kind of customers to do their work. I think the product helps there. The product kind of helps you embrace a lot of good practices, but we want to go beyond that. For example, our white paper about how to do remote work well has been downloaded over 100,000 times and helped a lot of companies adjust to remote. And we now have a new initiative called Team Ops, which we hope will help companies make and execute on decisions better. And I think those practices, for example, Team Ops are applicable to almost any organization and can have an impact way beyond just our team members and our users.
Thank you. So similarly, but on the other side of that coin, what ESG issues may have most significant risk to GitLab's business success?
I don't view them as risks per se, rather an opportunity. But for example, like if I think about ESG, you think, for example, about environment, you think about climate, you think about team members affected by hurricanes and things like that.
And then can you elaborate maybe on some of the significant opportunities that GitLab may have with regards to ESG?
I think if you look at our purpose, as we train people and help get them better jobs, not necessarily by using GitLab, but in many other ways, I think that's a great opportunity to spread more knowledge of what we can do also as a company.
So I guess I just want to get a bit of clarity on the specific issues themselves. Looking at the issues list in the table below, if you were to look at those and rank, potential opportunities for GitLab's business success, which I guess buckets would you be focusing on?
Maybe it's good to get that screen up again because I might not be looking at the same list as you are.
Sure. This is the truncated view. It's easier to see.
So I think we got a giant opportunity in everything related to remote. We're the largest remote organization before the pandemic. And I can see that taking a few different forms. I think the ones in our purpose are the nearest and dearest to my heart. And it says through training, and we talked about a few training examples and access to opportunities. I'll give two examples, one for each. So training, for example, there's a lot of training materials online, but there's not a lot easy access to certifications. For example, you can take every course at MIT for free, but no one will certify you that you did that. Maybe we can be the company that does that. And I linked it under 2B, number 2. Access to opportunities. A lot of people are limited in their ability to work because of childcare. And if they pay for childcare, they'll have to do so with after-tax dollars. Well, if there's some top employers like Google who have on-campus childcare, and they can do that with pre-tax dollars. I think that's something we can look into, maybe advocate for the deductibility of child support. And I think one of the GitLab values is efficiency. And so I'd love to see us not focus on 400 different things and do a very little bit of each and not have an impact. I'd rather have us focus on a few where we can have an enormous impact and put a lot of time and effort behind those.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. So I think those were the two main questions that we wanted to get answered today. Stacy, do you have any additional comments or questions that we can ask?
No, I think you answered them. I'd be curious if while you looked at this list of different topics, if there was anything that stuck out of like, this is not something we need to focus on. Like, it's not going to have a big impact on our business, not something that we should prioritize.
I think rather than like talking negatively in a public YouTube session about these things that are super worthwhile,
Yeah.
I'd rather go back to what I said earlier. I think we can have an outsized impact in a few things. And I think our value of efficiency means that if we can have a return of 100-fold on some topics and a return of 2x on some topics, it would be very unwise to spread our investment equally across those.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, yeah, I think that's it. So as we wrap
What do
up,
you think, Stacy?
all of these issues are important. So I think the purpose of these conversations is looking at what individuals would prioritize. It's not looking at what we're already doing. So there are some areas, some of these issues listed where GitLab is already doing a good job. So I think that comes into play, but really all of these things are important. I think for me, what's top of mind is a lot of the regulations and things that are going on around climate change. So making sure that we start our journey for greenhouse gas emissions on the environmental side of things, because I do also think we have a really unique story to tell by tackling our scope 3 emissions and how remote work and things plays into that. So I think that is what I would prioritize of this, but yeah, all of the things are important. It's just, I think exactly what you said. Let's pick the few right now that we can have the most impact on and work on those.
Yeah, I think if everything is important, nothing is important.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no, these subjects listed, there's no things that are not important in the world. But I think as a company, if we pick all of them, it's equivalent to picking none of them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll make an exception for greenhouse gas emissions, because I think it's a question of time before there's regulations, and I think we should be way ahead of them. That's why I advocated internally, as hopefully you found out by now, to buy offsets for our emissions, and that we already started doing that years ago. I think to have a big outsized impact on emissions, there's different things needed. On a personal title, I'm proud to have led a financing round in Swift Solar, who make solar cells that are 10 times more affordable, highly effective, 10 times as flexible and 10 times as light as the existing state of art. I'm not sure that this is something that GitLab can have a big impact in. And I'd be extremely careful, Stacy, to position us with our remote work as a greener company. Mm-hmm. Because I've done those calculations, and the air travel is just amazingly impactful and messes everything up. And I think remote work allows for you to have people more spread out, but these people still want to meet up, and you cause more air travel, and in net you produce more carbon emissions, not fewer. So I'd be very wary of that angle and positioning us as an innovator there.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't recommend that one. I do think remote has some other characteristics that are amazing. And I think that training and access to opportunities is a great angle to invest more in.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you too.
Yeah, we'll be updating the handbook and sharing some updates once we've completed the assessment.
Thanks. Looking forward to it.